Whether it's rainy, sunny, or snowy, you can always depend on Brendan Potts to be one of the first in line at either a basketball game, a football game, and for a volleyball game. Now, a 7.7% decrease in enrollment won't mean that there will be a bunch of empty classrooms, but it does mean that students might have a little bit less money in their wallets coming up this year.
But those with bigger piles, they might have a lot of work to do even after they get the relief from the government.
For most people, intramural sports are just a way to hang out with some friends and have a good time. But for others, it's a good way to earn yourself a trip to Omaha. If you have been to any WSU sporting event in the last 2 years, you may have noticed a loud and rowdy fan sitting in the front row of said event. And you may ask yourself, who is that guy? Well, his name is Brendan Potts, and he is WSU's biggest sports fan. Whether it's rainy, sunny, or snowy, you can always depend on Brendan Potts to be one of the first in line at either a basketball game, a football game, and for a volleyball game. At women's basketball games, you can usually find Brendan at the front of the line to get into Beasley Coliseum. When the doors open, he always walks straight down to the corner seat right where the players come out. According to him, he sits in there for a particular reason.
I've told many players and many people that's the best seat in the house, and it's right by the tunnel where you get to high-five the players, and it's turned into this big thing where that's unofficially my seat, and I am just honored that everybody in Beasley thinks that way.
Brendan has witnessed many great moments in that seat, including this one where Charlize Ledger-Walker scored her 1,000th point. Brendan has become synonymous with the women's basketball team over the years. He has built many personal relationships with members of the team, but how did those relationships start?
Yeah, I mean, I sat in the same seat for every game, and they kind of recognize that. And you know, you got it when you want to create these kinds of relationships with the players. You have to first understand that they're people first, and they are people before they are players. And so I took that into consideration, and I started with creating a relationship with one player, and then another player, and then it just kind of built over the season, and onto another season to what it is now.
The women's basketball players aren't the only athletes Brendan has developed personal relationships with at WSU. He started attending volleyball games at WSU and put the same level of effort into his fandom as he would any other WSU team. Head volleyball coach Jen Greeny expressed what it means to her and the team to have a fan like Brendan at the games.
Kind of that sense of family that I talk about, we want that with our crowd as well. I mean, that's why we stick around after the matches. That's how you create great fans and a great fan base. So we're happy that Brendan actually got out his senior year, and it's, you know, better late than never.
Brendan also took it upon himself to write a personal thank you letter to some of the players on the team. One of those players was WSU libero Carly Basham, who expressed what receiving that letter meant to her.
It meant the world. I think especially just like kids' words in there, and just him showing me and telling me how much of an impact that I as well had on him was just huge. Because I mean, like, I feel like you can kind of tell, but it's just different whenever you see it and hear it in person, and just knowing that like what we do on the court can have that big of an impact on him just makes me want to go 10 times harder for him and our fans every single day.
No matter what the sport is, Brendan always gives it his all for the members of the team and the other fans in attendance. Reporting in Pullman, I'm Derek Joseph, Murrow News 8. Enrollment at WSU has dropped, and what does that mean for students?
We're going to have to pay more. I mean, I think that a lot of people, including me, are not able to pay.
With a 7.7% decrease in enrollment this semester, a rise in tuition is inevitable for WSU students in the upcoming years. But why has there been such a drastic decrease in enrollment this year? WSU Vice President of Marketing and Communications Phil Weiler says there are multiple reasons.
We saw about 1.3 million college students basically stop out from going to college during the pandemic, which is a huge number of people. One of the reasons is that we've got a really strong job market right now. And so I think when students were trying to decide, do I continue to go to school during the pandemic or do I go get a job, there are a lot of jobs to be had.
Now, a 7.7% decrease in enrollment won't mean that there will be a bunch of empty classrooms, but it does mean that students might have a little bit less money in their wallets coming up this year. WSU has done a few things to combat with the enrollment decrease, such as launch the Common App to make it easier for students to apply, and taking steps to improve access to WSU by removing systemic barriers. Phil also told me one more way that the university is trying to increase enrollment.
It's transfer students, frankly, where we saw the biggest drop. And again, there's sort of levers that we can pull. So hopefully we can impact that and get back to a level where we are, we're comfortable with our enrollment number.
Reporting in Pullman, I'm Derek Joseph, Murrow News 8.